Okay, class, let's get started tonight. We won't be long. The subject matter tonight is beggars. Beggars, sometimes people call these type of people bums, lowlifes, and all sorts of names. But tonight we'll discover what it actually means to be a beggar. But before I get started, let me just tell you who I am. My name is Dr. Carlos Moore. I'm the founder of Problem Solvers University. I founded this university back in 1994 while stationed in Yokota Air Base, Japan. For those who do not know me, I am a 21-year retired veteran from the United States Air Force. The picture that you see right now, that's a picture of me. Now, that's not how I looked when I was in. I got a little fatter since then, but pretty much that's who I am. I am a native of Tampa, Florida, graduated from Tampa Bay Technical High School, Gold Titans. I know one of our rivals was Hillsborough High School and King High School. My sisters, they actually attended King High School, but a lot of my friends out there, Greg Hamilton, Junior Hamilton, couple people I know grew up around the corner. They attended Hillsborough High School. So anyway, I rambled on, but I didn't mean to. So let's get started with our discussion for this evening. Okay, beggars. Now, here's what I put, because this is near and dear to my heart. Now, this slide shows a military man who needs help, and the sister, my beautiful sister, she's in tears to see a fallen comrade in arms. So why is this happening? Now, I'm going to tell you the nature of what I do for a living right now. I help homeless get in shelters. I try to help them get off opioids. I do a lot of street counseling, but I love doing it because when I see, especially military vets that's fought for their country, but now they're on the streets. Now, some of it's due to drugs, but a lot of it's due to mental health issues. Post-traumatic stress disorder is one of the main issues that's going undiagnosed. In fact, you might not even know this, but it's about 22 suicides attempted each day by military veterans. You don't see it on the news. With all this junk going on in the White House right now, I feel so bad for my military comrades in arms. Now, I've been retired for 18 years, but I can remember being in Korea, being in the Middle East. I fought in the war too. Actually, I was in 1981. I was stationed in England when Princes Charles and Diane got married in London. I was stationed there for 3.5 years at a base called Upper Heyford, England, and Croughton. But I say that because even then, there was a bunch of racism going on. The RA was bombing up places. We had the Falkland Islands conflict at the time, Grenada. My first president was Reagan. So, Carter. But I come to find out that beggars aren't who you think they are. There are many opinions on this subject of beggars. Some people call them panhandlers. Now, admittedly, this is a difficult topic. I'm gonna tell you why in a minute. Some people feel comfortable, handing out money, believing that the beggar's responsibility is to determine how to use it. They may buy food, but then again, they may buy drugs or alcohol. The question is, should we concern ourselves with what they do buy? Now, some people give food and water instead of money. They understand that some beggars won't use the money for what its intended purpose is. Now, the question once again, though, should we, the giver, determine what the beggar or panhandler do with that money? You see, I'm just speaking biblically. Are we to concern ourselves as Christians with what they do with that money. Now, biblically speaking, Bible tells us to help the poor. Now, it does not tell us now to contribute to the habit. So this is what makes giving beggars a handout pretty tough. Now, I believe in giving someone a hand up. Let's say I pass by this veteran and let's say I give him $20. But I'm also going to try to teach him how to go to Career Source, for example, to look for a job. I'm also going to give him a card how to keep in contact with me so that I can kind of mentor him. I'm also going to try to send out people who help the homeless to his location. So I'm not just going to give him money and just leave, because for this veteran who fought in war to sit on that street like this, there's something deeper than just needing a six-pack of beer or a piece of drug. There's something mentally going on with this person, because I can tell you, when we graduate from basic training, no matter what branch you're in, you're taught with certain skills that keep you from reaching this point. So if you see a veteran at this point in his life or her life, something went wrong, and they need more than just a handout. They need a hand up. Okay? Now, stop feeding an addiction. Now, this veteran, he says he's a veteran. He has a sign, why lie? I want a beer, holy water, cigs, skunk weed. So he's making a mockery of the real veterans that need all assistance. I've talked to a lot of people that buy, or they may get a uniform donated to them, and they portray themselves as veterans. If you run across cases like this, simply ask the veteran for their DD-214. If they don't know what a DD-214 is, then they're not a vet. A DD-214 is basically a discharge paperwork, and it states the type of discharge that that veteran received. And then you might even ask, what branch of service were you in? And if you're familiar with the branches of service, this is how you can detect if they're fraud or not. Now, rather than giving money or food or water, some people prefer to offer transportation to a local shelter, and or maybe provide financial support directly to the shelter. See, some people may not feel comfortable walking up this guy bragging about he want money for beer. So you may achieve your Christian duty by going to a shelter, donating food or water, money or clothing or whatever. So you still are helping the poor. You're just not giving to them directly on the street. Also, you have to be careful about your safety too. Opioids is big time in Florida right now. And unfortunately, we have fentanyl. That's a heavy-duty killer. If you touch that substance, you may die just by touching it with your raw hands. You know, you have to have gloves on. It's harmful when the police make busts. So be careful about that. Okay? And of course, the last slide I'm going to talk to you about. Anybody have any questions so far? All right. Now, this is what I love to see. Now, you see a picture of my veterans right here. A couple of you guys may know him. I'm currently located close by MacDill Air Force Base, but I just wanted to show you this slide because as I showed you the other slides, now this is legit. This is what you're seeing. You're seeing legitimate veterans that's down on their luck going to a clothing donation. And if you are a member of a church, ask your pastor if they have anything like this set up. Not just for anybody, but particularly veterans. Veterans need a lot of help. And I'm going to tell you why they need an extra bit of help. We've been trained as veterans not to depend on handouts. We've been trained to be kind of prideful people. So it's not easy for us to ask people to help us. So sometimes, go out your way to find veterans. Now, other ways to help include, like I said, giving gift cards to the maybe to a local restaurant. How about handing out energy bars, non-perishable, things to people on the street corners. Now, God really wants us to help the poor and bless us when we do. In the in the words of the psalmist King David, we are told, "Blessed is he who has regard for the weak. The Lord delivers him in times of trouble. The Lord will protect him and preserve his life. He will bless him in the land and not surrender him to the desire of his foes." Now you can take a look at that if you want to. It's Psalms chapter 41, verse 1 through 2. So therefore, it's indeed worthy cause to help the poor, including the sign holders on our street corners. Those sign holders, what they call panhandling. Now, in some counties, it's illegal. You know, it's illegal in some counties. So you got to make sure you don't help the person break the law. So each of us, in our own way, we should respond to these type of people in need. As the Lord guides you. I don't want to put a mandate on you by saying how much or when you should give. But the real truth is that if we call ourselves Christian, it's a big time debate over this word Christian. I actually prefer the name disciple. I'm a disciple of Christ. And the reason why I say that, Christian is only mentioned 3 times in the Bible. In the New Testament, I should say. And so, therefore, you hear a lot about discipleship. See, Christian to me is a title. And I hear all sorts of people calling themselves Christians. Especially I got drug dealers calling themselves Christians. So when I start asking them why do they think they're a Christian, then they'll tell me how they do bad and then they do good. And they say, well, everybody's sin, right? I say, yeah, but see, if you're a Christian, that means that you're following Jesus Christ. So if you're a follower of Jesus Christ, did Jesus Christ do what you do? And then they share it up. So I say, here's a better title for you. It's more like an adjective. Call yourself a disciple. A disciple describes your actions, and your actions should be in line or in tune with what Jesus did. So if you're a disciple, that means you're a follower of a certain teacher. So if you're a disciple of Christ, that means that you're a follower of Christ. See, the original name before Christian came up was called the way of Christ. So, people's making a mockery of the Christian. It was the Jews, the Judaizers, and they were sort of picking on these followers of Christ. And they said, look at those Christians. And see, that name stuck. But see, I'm going to unstick that name with me because I'm a disciple. I'm Christ's disciple, CD. So it's kind of like a play on words, but really, I take on that name because it tells people what I do for a living. I actually follow the teachings of Jesus Christ, and that includes feeding the poor, taking care of the widows, the orphans. And so if you want a mission statement for that, just go to the book of Matthew, chapter 25. Take a gander at that. You'll understand what you should really be doing. So for this discussion, we're just talking about how to take care of beggars and panhandlers. And in summary, I think the best way is to funnel your money through the churches, through local nonprofits that actually help. As matter of fact, volunteer there too. That way you'll make sure your money is being used properly. So each of us that call ourselves Christians or followers of Jesus Christ, we must never forget where we came from. Because if not for the grace of God, we could be one of these people in line. So that was short, but I want to thank you for tuning in. Once again, my name is Dr. Carlos Moore, and I really need your help too. I'm trying to purchase a building so that I can put together a nonprofit. It's going to be called Problem Solvers University Family Support Center. In the Air Force, I used to be the deputy director of a family support center. So I have a vast knowledge, a great skill set on putting together programs for the needy. And so believe it or not, we got a lot of needy people in the military. So one of my jobs was to make sure that that the people was taken care of. So that's what I want to do. So if you feel as though God has blessed you, please send me a generous donation. You can make a check of money order out to Dr. Carlos and Moore, P.O. Box 871, Sumter, Florida, 33583. And once again, this is Carlos Moore, doctor. For those who do not know me, again, I have a doctorate in theology. My background is electronics. I am a person who can solve problems through schematic breakdown. So what I do with the Bible, I actually try to use it to solve earthly problems by using the Word of God. So once again, thank you, and I'll see you next time.